Welcome, welcome. See if I did this right, Lauren. I guess we did. Well, good. Hi, Rose. You got to unmute, girl.
Oh, yep, there we go.
There you are. Jetting in from Chicago. We got
Yeah.
Dr. Rose Nutt with us. How are you, honey?
Good, very good.
Good, good. Everybody, Rose is a graduate of angelic attendant training. What class were you, Rose?
I was in class 8, which was in November of 2020.
Yes, she's an old timer like me.
Yeah.
She's been around a long time.
Yep.
And what a delight. You are gonna find that in this angelic attendant training, we call ourselves AAT community, that you will meet some friends that you feel like you've known for forever. And it's been really fun to watch all of that unfold, because we have graduates that met other graduates in other countries and even other parts of the Americas, if you will, and they go to each other's houses. They travel together. We have some of them that have become really dear friends, and Rose is one of those to me. When I met Rose, it was just like, oh my God, I've known her my whole life. And even to the point where her sister, who's a sister, her best friend is a nun who taught me in grade school and worked for my mother. Now, Rose, you can't make that stuff up, right?
And we were just talking on the phone one day and put that together.
I know. And she said, well, my sister is a Franciscan nun out of Joliet. I said, oh, I was taught by those nuns. She said, well, who did you know? And I started naming off these nuns, and she goes, oh my God. So she got me in touch with the nun that I had from 6th through 8th grade, who's now what, 90 something?
Yeah, and I'm taking her out to lunch next week.
Oh, please give her my love.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Sister Lourdes, how fun. Well, I asked Rose to join us today. She's so gracious to give us some of her time on Saturday. And I wanted you, Rose, please, to share with everybody about your journey. What led you to take this class? How has it made a difference in your life? And then I'd like for you to talk a little bit about the practice groups and if you utilize those.
Well, it has made a big difference in my life. And I think this was kind of during COVID time, and we were looking, I was looking for things to do, and I've always been interested in woo-woo, and found you about 6 months before on the podcast. And I just resonated with you so much. And I was raised Catholic, so maybe that's part of it too. But so many of the things that you talked about, I just resonated with. So I thought, well, I'm going to take your class. And I had a reading with you before and told you about some of my experiences. And you said you really should take the class. And I thought, oh, I don't know. I didn't grow up with anything that, I had spirits coming to me or anything. And I thought, oh, I don't know. I thought, okay, I'll take the class, and I'll tell you with my experience. I think I had told you this before, that I was teaching at Loyola University and was a nurse practitioner before they even knew what to do with nurse practitioners. And I had worked in drug and alcohol rehab centers. I had worked in inpatient and outpatient psych hospitals, and I even had a practice for 30 years for marriage counseling and family therapy. And so I had this occurrences when I would see patients. They would come into my office, and I would get like a download of I knew what was going on with their lives. So when I told you that, you're like, you have to take the course. So I'm like, okay, I will.
Yeah. And you have a son in spirit too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was, he died about a year before I took the class. And I had a knowing, I just call it a knowing, about a week before he passed that he was going to pass. So I thought, well, I'm going to take the class. So,
Yeah, yeah. And I think he prodded you too to set up that initial appointment because
yes.
he knew what was going to happen once you got going with this. So how do you utilize the things we've just gone through the intro so far? We're going to do the remote viewing next, which is always
good.
a highlight. And how do you utilize the skill sets that you've developed here from the AAT community, and have you found that it's enhanced your abilities before the class? Just kind of give us an idea of it, if
two
that's
big
made a
things.
difference.
The practice groups have really helped me validate and trust what the things that I've been getting. And that's really helped me. And that's, I want to talk about the practice groups, how important they are. And also the 2-minute rule. I use that all the time. And it's so valuable. You would think it's, once you do it, it's kind of automatic, but it's just so helpful in everyday occurrences.
Can you give us an example of how you would have used it, or how you have used it?
You know about this one. We were going to Cancun and our flight was delayed. So we had it taken off the plane, we didn't even know if we were going to get back on. And then we ended up staying overnight in Charlotte, North Carolina on the way to Cancun. And it was, just getting off the plane and like 2-minute rule, just, it's not, it's not going to kill you in the next whatever. I was so upset. And I thought, okay, my husband has Parkinson's. So I thought, okay, I can't, be upset too for him because that upsets him. So I thought, all right, I'm just going to do the 2-minute rule. So that's really a good practical example.
And what did that do for you when you used the 2-minute rule with the Cancun flight snafus?
It just calmed me down. And, we realized, okay, there are no other options because there's no flights out today anyway. So we're just going to have a nice dinner. We're going to have a nice stop at the American Airlines, courtesy place, and we're going to enjoy that. And then we're going to go back to the room and have a nice dinner.
Yeah. Whereas what would have happened otherwise? You just would have been stressed out, maybe not able to sleep.
Stressed out for nothing, for really no reason.
And don't you think that most of us spend our lives like that, in various states of that?
I think so. I mean, it's just been so helpful to me in so many different ways.
Yeah. All right. How about the medical stuff? Tell everybody what you've done in your career. She's one of those classic overachievers, you guys. So,
well, I got my nursing degree up at Mayo Clinic, and then I decided to get my master's degree in psychiatric nursing. And back then, it was the beginning of nurse practitioners. They didn't even really know what to do with us, where to put us, or what jobs we could have. Then, because of that, I got my PhD in psychology because I thought, okay, well, at least I will have that and I'll know what to do with that. But it ended up that I used my nurse practitioner more. And I would make rounds in the hospital with the doctors and fill in for the days that they weren't there. So it was really a valuable experience.
You were a pioneer in the nurse practitioner world, really.
Yes.
And then you taught at Loyola and you taught at Mayo Nursing School as well,
yes.
right?
Yes. And at Loyola University, I taught at the medical school too.
Yeah. So how does because we'll be doing the medical stuff tomorrow, how does the medical stuff come into the equation with you now from combining the actual medical experience that you have with the woo-woo energy healing? How do those combine?
Because of my medical experience, I can kind of do the MRI thing like you do. And before I took the class, I would listen to you on your podcast and just visualize everything. And, like you said, it's 90% your energy and 10% technique. So once I took the class and learned your technique, and then would go to the practice sessions, that really solidified it. And I was able to do more and more within the last couple of years.
What is it about the practice sessions that you have found to be helpful?
With the practice sessions, I think it solidifies your trust in yourself and validates you. And it's a real supportive group. So there's no judgment, there's no expectations. When people come on in the beginning, they can, if they're shy, they can just listen. You know, they don't have to interact. It really helps you develop your skills all around.
Yeah. Have you found that the AAT community has been welcoming to the new grads?
Yes, very welcoming. Very welcoming. And, you know, you say that curiosity is a high vibe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's staying with that high vibe group of people that really help develop your skills.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So if you had a piece of wisdom to impart on all these new AAT folks that are in this class, what would that be?
I would say try to stay in the high vibes of love and joy, and also remember to give back. So as you're in the AAT group, give back to others in the practice sessions after you learn, because it's just so valuable to have that, you know, someone that is experienced. And usually in the group, there's a full mix of people.
People that are just brand new at this,
Brand new,
and people that have been doing it a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and one example too of us giving back as a community, I'm glad you brought that up, is we had a graduate who passed several years ago named Lisa Anabali, and she had brain cancer and it had metastasized all over her body. And she decided to do the Death with Dignity pill, which is basically, you know, what Dr. Kevorkian was jailed for doing. It's the suicide pill. And we found out about it, and in what, I don't know, less than 24 hours, we put together a group on Zoom, and we had a living wake for her that she attended because she was going to take the pill the next day at noon. And it lasted, what, Rose? A couple of hours.
Yeah.
And we had probably 50 people on graduates on that call with literally less than 24 hours notice. Mm-hmm. And everybody just supported her and talked with her and all of that. And one of the most amazing things, I still marvel at this, that came out of that get together was one of our graduates does EVP, which is an electronic voice phenomena. Some of you may have heard of that, where she will run a recording and you can hear spirit talking on the recording. It's pretty interesting if you want to look it up, EVP. So her name's Margaret. She lives in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And Margaret said, okay, Lisa, let us know when you get to heaven. And, you know, so we'll all know that you get there. And we kind of think of her as our mascot from heaven. She's our advocate in heaven. So we all got word that she had taken the pill. She had passed, let's say 12:30 the following day. Well, Margaret sent out an email to us, within an hour or so. And and on the email was the voice recording of Lisa in Lisa's voice with her accent saying, I made it. I'm here. I made it. And so I get goosebumps just talking about it now, but that was really a remarkable occasion, wasn't it, Rose?
It was clearly her voice. No mistaking it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And just who gets to have a living wake where, you know, usually people are coming at a funeral to the visitation. Everybody's talking about how Stanley was so fabulous and all of that. And Lisa got to hear all of that and got to receive the love from the AAT community. So that's just a little bit of a snippet of what you guys have all joined and have the ability participate in as you go through this journey. Anything else you want to share with everybody, Rose?
One thing I could say is that the practice sessions, you have on the Facebook site all the different times,
Right.
and so it's very clear. And on Sunday we do kind of a chat. It's about people talk about different books they've read or podcasts that you had, and people have questions, so that's really fun. And then on Tuesday and Thursday we do a healing, like a prayer session. And on your last podcast with Father Sean O'Leary, he had said that he did studies and they followed the people that he was praying for, that a group was praying for, and the people praying and the people healing and praying were actually receiving just as much grace and well-being, which I thought was very fascinating.
Yes.
And then on Wednesdays, it's Wednesdays and Fridays and Mondays. It's kind of like whatever anybody wants to do in the group. If they want to practice different techniques that you've taught, like the walk to heaven, or someone's lost a pet and they want to concentrate on that. Whatever it is, we just, every time it's different, which is fun.
And it's all graduate led. I'm not on these practice calls because I'm talking to clients or doing interviews or something. So it's all graduate led. And then once a month on the first Saturday of the month, we do a get together for an hour that I lead. And I always get some kind of a topic from Spirit. I get a divine download and it just opens the conversation. And then we just watch where it goes. And it's always, always remarkable. Isn't it, Rose?
It's always timely and what people in the group need.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. I don't know how you do it.
Well, I just ask. I ask Spirit, I say, okay, what topic do you want me to bring up in the AAT grad class? And it goes for about an hour, sometimes a little bit longer. And it's always just so heartwarming and remarkable in just a whole bunch of different ways. So you'll all be invited to that. We do send out emails with the schedule of all the practice groups on Sundays. One of our graduates named Chuck, who you'll meet in the practice groups or in the monthly get-togethers, he said, can you just send out a reminder? And then it'll make it easy with the different classes and when they are and all of that jazz. You do not need to go to every one of the practice groups. Go pick one. Go to as many as you want, but pick one. Go to at least one a week, and then your skills are really going to ramp up. Okay, let's open it up for questions for a couple of minutes. Anybody have a question for Rose while we have her captive? If you do, raise your hand and Lauren will help us with that. Anybody have any questions? Ioana?
Hey, Rose, thank you so much for being here. You have a beautiful energy. I love it. Quick question. You said that you can scan the body just like Julie can. How long did it take you to get to the skill level that you have right now?
Oh, that's a good question. I could probably do it pretty soon, but I didn't trust myself for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So going to the practice sessions, I think that helped with validating different things.
Yeah.
But I would say within 6 months,
Wow.
for sure.
Got it.
And
So-
everybody's different. And
Yes.
we're gonna cover that here going forward in another section, but everybody's different. So we have people that they get it right away, or we have people that it takes a little bit longer, but when we just trust it's all unfolding perfectly, then it helps a lot. And the key, as Rose and I have been saying, is to sit in the vibe. When you sit in the vibe after this weekend, you're gonna, tonight you'll feel it. Tomorrow you're gonna feel it. Colleen, the gal I told you about, who was the one that got me to do the class, she was in South Africa, so it was 10 p.m. when we finished the class. She said, I was so jazzed I couldn't go to sleep because I'd sat in that high vibe for all those hours. That's the whole point of this. And that's the point of the practice groups too. You don't need to do anything. Just immerse yourself in the vibe. And that we allow it instead of trying to make it happen. We want to allow it. When you agree with that, Rose?
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Because when we're trying to force something, what are we doing? We're in fear. We're in a low vibration. It's not going to work because spirit doesn't communicate on the I feel crappy channels. So, yeah. Does that answer your question? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Rose. Go ahead.
In the practice groups, there's no judgment. So it's really great because you practice and you just, that's the way that it happens, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't wait.
Thanks, Joanna.
Thank
All
you.
right, Steve. Gotta unmute my man, please. There you go. Huh, not wanting to unmute. There you go.
Can you scan yourself?
Well, I've tried it a couple times and I was having trouble with my knees. So I did the anti-inflammation and the gel and the whole thing. And I've tried it before. It's worked.
I scan myself all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a car accident, I don't know, 10 years ago or something. I was driving back from Atlanta. I was in a big, huge, heavy sedan. And I'm on this overpass about 50 feet in the air or more. And it was pouring and I hydroplaned and I hit that cement wall thing. And when I lost control of the car, I said, sweet Jesus, please keep me from flying off this overpass. And I broke my foot. I had a spiral fracture when my foot was on the brake and we hit. It twisted my foot and it broke my foot in 2 places. So I was able to drive to the car afterwards. And I came home, I called Tim, my husband, and I said, because I'd been in the car for 2 or 3 hours. And I said, I need to go to the bathroom and then we need to go to the emergency room because my foot's broken. He goes, your foot's not broken, you're walking. I said, trust me, my foot's broken, I can see it. And so we went to the emergency room and guess what? I had 2 spiral fractures right where I saw it. So yes, you'll be able to scan yourself.
And with respect to others, do you always have to ask? Like
Yeah.
for my grandchild or my daughter or something, you must always ask them, even if you sense there's something not right.
Rose, tell us about that and then I'll join in.
Yeah, I always ask. Julie had always said, it's just not ethical to scan someone. So I always ask.
I do too. I operate under HIPAA, whether it's medical or not. I think you're a lawyer. You are all about client privilege, attorney-client privilege and privacy. And I just think it's unethical to scan somebody without their permission. We can do it, but I don't think it's ethical. Now, we can talk to their spirit because they're going to tell us what they want us to know. Kind of like if somebody has pneumonia and you're talking to them, they're going to let you know what they want you to know and how they feel, but you're not looking at their chest x-ray without their permission. So, yeah.
Okay, I was just wondering, like children or something like that, where So
I
they-
ask fetuses permission before I scan them in utero. Yeah, I just think it's the right thing to do. Would you agree, Rose?
Yes, I definitely do.
Now, in
Yeah.
your car accident, Julie, just out of curiosity, could you have prevented that, like every day asking Spirit to protect you, to give you indications of when you're in the danger zones or something like that, or these things just happen anyway?
Yeah, I think you can ask for protection, but I don't do that because then I'm living in fear all the time, which is a low vibration. And every experience benefits us in some way, even if we don't know what it is at the moment. we can look back on that and say, yeah, that benefited us in some way. How it benefited me was I got a new car out of it because my car was totaled because the frame was bent. And the insurance guy said, lady, even in pretty much any other car, you would have been in the hospital. I said, yeah, I know. And what happened was this car was such a big, heavy car that the impact went across. I hit the right front fender. It went across, crumpled the hood and caused dents on the left fender. So the car worked the way it was supposed to, but it bent the daylights out of the frame. So I got a brand new car out of it.
But
It was
for
great.
instance, if I'm kayaking like yesterday in the waves, big waves coming in,
Yeah.
I ask for that I be given the skills to negotiate, to paddle correctly, to stay from flipping over and dragging my head anywhere.
Yeah.
Is that fear-based, or is that just sort of thinking about the best you want for yourself?
Well, I think it's how you ask the question. And Rose, I'd love to hear your take on this. My opinion is you ask the question for assistance. You're not asking the question like, please keep me from drowning in this kayak today with these big waves. That's a totally different ask. What do you
It's
think, Rose?
assistance, like, help me to be the best I can.
Well, like, hey, help me enjoy this. Help me navigate this. Help me enjoy my time on the water, something like that. Rose, what do you think?
Well, you can always ask your guardian angels too for the best benevolent outcome of something that's going to happen, like if you're on a trip or whatever. But I think other people have free will, so you never know, like in an accident, what part they play in, because they have free will. You can't change that too. So I don't know. What do you think about that, Julie?
Well, back to my car accident, when I hydroplaned, afterwards I called the highway patrol and I said, I hydroplaned here and I was only going like 45 miles an hour. And they said, oh yeah, people wipe out on that every day, all day long when it's raining hard on that part of the highway. And I said, well, you guys need to get that fixed. And they said, yeah. And they gave me the guy at the, ALDOT, Alabama Department of Transportation. And I called and I had a conversation with him and he said, thank you for letting us know. We'll put it on the list. So, me, Miss Shyness, I'm like, this is wrong. I wasn't going that fast. Like I had been going 80 miles an hour or something, maybe, but I totally lost control of the car. The car spun several times. I was like, sweet Jesus. And then, I'm asking for help from Jesus because I'm in fear, and rightfully so. If I go flying off that overpass, I could have, no matter how strong my car is, that would have been interesting. But fortunately, cars went by me. I didn't hit anybody else. But it was something that hopefully got addressed because of my going through that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, so you didn't use the 2-minute drill.
I didn't know because I hadn't had it downloaded yet. It was 10 years ago before I learned from Spirit about the 2-minute rule. But
Yeah, just so for knowledge, but there's so many cars, oil and gas and everything leaking on there, they become a skating rink.
yeah, but this was the way that it drained. I was in the slow lane and they said to me, the highway patrol guy and the Department of Transportation said, when you're on that overpass, stay in the fast lane. Duh. Who's thinking that? So yeah, something good comes out of it. Thanks, Steve. Rose, anything else you want to share with the gang before we let you get back to your Saturday life?
I can't think of anything, just that I want to encourage people to, to come to the practice sessions and invite them and let them know that when the new people come on, it's just really a joyous occasion.
Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. You guys, when you go to the practice sessions, you'll see a familiar face
Yeah.
with Rose. Thanks, Rose.
Okay.
Enjoy the rest of your day and your weekend.
Bye.
Bye. All right, let me get my screen back up here and see how we do this. There we go. Okay. Remote viewing. This is so fun, you guys. This is one of the most fun things that we do. And it comes into play not only if you want to find something, you can maybe see where it is, or certainly in all the medical stuff, we're going to remote view somebody's body. And we'll go over this more tomorrow, but you may be able to see things, you may be able to feel things, whatever. We're going to connect into that other person when we're doing medical stuff. When we're seeing in our mind's eye spirits, what are we doing? We're remote viewing to a different reality. When we're doing past life stuff, what are we doing? We're remote viewing. It's like we're going to be walking into a movie that's happened in the past. So remote viewing is really an interesting, integral part to everything that we're doing. The other thing that's interesting about remote viewing is we all have the ability to do it. And all of the big tech companies do this. Please mute everybody because I can hear some background noise. All the tech companies have this. All the spy agencies have this. All around the world, they all have remote viewers. So it's something that's not just akin to people that are doing woo-woo. You're going to be amazed at how prevalent it is, but nobody really talks about it much. There was research done at Stanford University in Palo Alto, California, at the Stanford Research Group. And what they did was they had a bunch of guys that they brought in, and this was back during the Cold War, and they were remote viewing Russia, and where the Russians were moving their portable ICBMs, their mobile ICBMs, because the satellites weren't advanced enough to be able to do that, but they were able to get information from these guys that were remote viewing, which is pretty wild if you think about it, but nobody's ever heard about that before. So let's learn more.
If you had an ability to be able to remotely perceive stuff any place in the world, that could be an extraordinary intelligence source.
We found that many individuals are able to accurately describe what's going on in distant locations.
Are you saying that the work you've been doing is classified?
It was a research facility. That was all that we were going to tell them.
The Russians have been spending millions of dollars investigating so-called ESP.
Psychic spies. Almost a psychic arms race here. Is there any real application to this?
I think remote viewing has been demonstrated over the 20 years of work that's been sponsored by the government.
Producing crucial and vital intelligence to the NSA, CIA, DEA, and the Secret Service.
I began to feel frightened.
The KGB did it, man.
What's really going on here?
State-sponsored assassination attempt.
The CIA was lying.
They wanted to kill the program.
A storm brewing.
This is real.
I say no more secrets.
Let this information out.
You can watch that on YouTube. It's a great documentary if you haven't seen it. So it's a real thing. Apple, Microsoft, Google, all these development companies have this. Part of my advising with Dr. Schwartz down at Arizona is they're very afraid about nefarious intentions being able to use the Soul Phone app to cause harm. And I say, well, all spirits are pure love. Spirits aren't going to give information that's going to cause harm. The person can cause harm on their own in their physical place, but this is something that's real. The governments use it. Every government in the world has people that are doing remote viewing. Now we have satellites that help us too, but these guys are augmenting what the satellites do. So we get to go do it now. There is this little bag. Can you guys see this here? This is a brown bag that I'm gonna hold up, and we are gonna do an experiment with this. And we're gonna look for things, just information that comes into your head instantly. You know how I say it's the first thing that comes in your head as fast as you can snap your fingers. So you want to think in terms of color, texture, scent, emotion, size, use. Don't try and guess what's in there. Just pay attention to the thoughts that are coming into your head. And then we're going to have a minute to do it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to open it up and we're going to write. I'm going to be writing down what you guys got as far as thoughts of what's inside the bag. Now, the interesting thing is we have a 1 in a billion chance of getting 4 things right. 1 in a billion. So those are not very good odds, but we're going to see what we can do here. So I'm going to hold up the bag. So Lauren, I guess I stopped sharing and I'm going to hold up the bag here. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to set my clock to a minute and then we'll go from there. So let me get my phone undone here. So again, first thing that comes into your head, right? Just write it down. Everybody got a piece of paper and a pen? Just write it down. You know, whatever it is. Tree, grass, green, yellow, blah, soft, fuzzy, crunchy, whatever. Just the thoughts that come into your head. You want to write them down as fast as you can in a minute. So, all right, here's the bag. I'm going to hold it up. Ready, set, go. Okay, stop. All right. Everybody, I'm going to ask you one by one what you got. I'm going to write it down on a tablet and we'll see if we can get, if we're going to beat the odds of 1 in a billion of things that, we get. Okay. I got to find